This is how she spent her career before she went to the Senate. This is what she's been focused on now that she's in the Senate. She was only there 3 weeks. I'm not sure she was fully unpacked when she started dumping millions of dollars of stock trying to protect herself. And she purchased that seat. It's done well for her. The issue is that the people who sold it to her don't own it. And the people of Georgia are coming back to get their seat.
Senator, you have 30 seconds.
Well, predictably, you've just heard more lies from radical liberal Raphael Warnock, who wants to distract from his own words, calling police officers gangsters, thugs, bullies, and a threat to our children, saying that you can't serve God and the military, for his attacks on Israel. You know, what I'm focused on is making sure that we continue to deliver relief. I've already delivered relief.
By the way, there's hella people in my chat that were like, Raphael Warnock is bad on Israel. Don't get me fucking started on his takes on Israel. I don't know if he's like, he might be anti-BDS, but he's definitely not fucking bad on Israel. Shut the fuck up. And for an American politician, are you insane?
It's Georgia. I'm here working for Georgia.
Reverend Warnock, your turn to ask a second question of the senator.
Yeah, my question is actually pretty simple. Yes or no, Senator Loeffler, did Donald Trump lose the election?
You know, President Trump has every right to use every legal recourse available. In our own state, we've seen time and again that we have investigations that need to be completed. In fact, we've run 2 audits, and those audits discovered thousands of ballots across several counties here in Georgia that were not counted. I've called for a signature audit. We need to hold folks accountable involved in these investigations to make sure that they move more quickly, because everything's at stake on January 5th for the future of our country. If the Democrats win, they will defund the police. They'll keep our country locked down.
No, she's not text-to-speech. My fucking TTS has more emotion than this fucking robot, dude.
Keep the borders open and support taxpayer funding for illegal immigrant health care. And they'll defund our military by 25%. My opponent, radical liberal Raphael Warnock, would be a rubber stamp for Chuck Schumer because he's bought and paid for by tens of millions of dollars from out-of-state dark liberal money from Chuck Schumer.
Raphael Warnock.
Reverend Warnock, 30 seconds.
Yo, someone make a super.
You know, I've been moving all across this state, especially going to rural areas. And when I go to these small towns, they're surprised that I'm there. I'm surprised that they're surprised they haven't seen a U.S. senator. And they're wondering why their hospitals are closing, why Kelly Loeffler doesn't think it's a good idea to make sure that they have health care in the middle of a pandemic. We refuse to expand Medicaid in this state. 9 of our hospitals are have closed, and they're wondering who in Washington is looking out for them.
Senator Loeffler, you get the final question in this.
Reverend Warnock, you were arrested for obstructing police in the child abuse investigation. Can you tell me the nature of this child abuse? Why were the police called? What was your knowledge or involvement in this incident?
Sure, here are the facts, and Kelly Loeffler actually knows them. I was working and trying to make sure that young people who were being questioned by law enforcement had the benefit of counsel, a lawyer, or a parent. And the law enforcement officers actually later thanked me for my cooperation and for helping them. She knows this, but the question is, why is she doing this? It is because she has made a calculation that after being in the Senate for 10 months, she does not have a case to be made for why the people of Georgia should keep her there. She has been focused on the same thing she's focused
99% of her ads are negative.
Her whole life, herself. During the recession, she was helping billionaires like her hide their money in the Cayman Islands. She dumped millions of dollars of stock, played it down, and then when she could help ordinary people, she didn't do it. And the people of Georgia haven't seen relief for months. And so she's spending her millions of dollars focused on me because she has no case to make for herself. I think that's sad, but that's no reason for her to keep a Senate seat.
You have a rebuttal.
You've just heard radical liberal Raphael Warnock lie again and not answer a question, an important question that Georgians deserve to have the answer to. Unfortunately, this is consistent with his track record of disrespecting law enforcement. Anyone in Georgia can read the police report as to what happened in this child abuse investigation at his church camp. You know, Georgians deserve answers, but they also deserve someone who respects our men and women of law enforcement. You know, he did call police officers gangsters and thugs. He said that we should empty the prisons and end cash bail. He won't keep our communities safe. That's what I'm fighting for.
Senator, thank you. That does conclude our second round. Again, if you're just joining us, this is the runoff debate between candidates for the U.S. Senate seat to fill the Georgia seat that's currently held by Senator Loeffler. We turn back now to the panel to ask questions until we run out of time. As moderator, actually, I'm going to take the privilege of asking a question to the two of you to start this round. Reverend, I'll begin with you. I'm interested in the number that you're comfortable with.
Brian Kemp is so stupid for appointing her. She's so bad. They really should have appointed Perdue to this position and then found someone else to take over the other seat. Like, why did they do this? Or was it?
How much is required by this moment?
Well, the problem is for months we haven't seen any relief. And we
Wait,
can
was it
talk
Doug
about the
Collins?
numbers. That
Yeah.
would be an important part of the conversation. But when we saw relief, we saw the Shake Shacks of
No,
the world.
Purdue's terrible
and
too,
Ruth's
but it would have
Chris
been better
and
for the
the
Republicans
LA Lakers
overall.
at the front of the line and small businesses at the back of the line. Our frontline workers, our teachers, our police officers, our health professionals need PPE. Our workers need relief. And we need to begin even now, I think, thinking beyond how we survive this pandemic and begin to think about how we survive on the other end of the pandemic. While we're providing relief, I think it's time for us to start thinking about an infrastructure program here in this country that will repair our roads and our bridges, begin to build green energy and green energy jobs, provide jobs with a livable
I think you'll
wage,
see why I
and
like
position
Warnock
our
after this
economy,
debate, by the way.
to lead into the future.
Can you give me a number?
Look, I think that we should at least make sure that whatever we do, workers are at the center of that relief.
All right. Senator Loeffler, you're in a position to vote on this very soon, perhaps. Janet Yellen has said the country can afford to borrow this money now to get people through this crisis until we're all vaccinated, and that if we don't spend it now, it's going to cost us more in terms of job destruction. Do you agree with that? And what would your number be? What could you live with?
Well, I was pleased to support all the relief packages this spring when we were addressing this virus. Over $3 trillion of relief to Americans, $47 billion that I helped bring right here to Georgia, including $7 billion for hospitals, 174,000 small businesses that I brought $15 billion in PPP funds to, saved 1.5 million jobs. And in fact, I voted twice on the Senate floor in recent months to support a package that Democrats have blocked, that Nancy Pelosi has now confirmed that it was playing politics with Americans' lives and livelihoods. She's held up targeted relief that would have gone to hospitals, to schools, to families, to small businesses. That's what I've been fighting for. That's what the Democrats are holding up. And my opponent, radical liberal Raphael Warnock, would be a rubber stamp for Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi as they try to use this pandemic to put the costs on the back of hardworking Georgians in the form of high taxes to fundamentally change America. And I'm not going to stand by and let that happen. I'm going to make sure that we
I'm going to lose
serve
my fucking
our
mind.
families and our small
The
businesses.
Nancy
right here in
Pelosi line
Georgia.
is fucking actually powerful.
Thank you. Lisa,
But
it's your turn to ask a
again,
question.
there's such
Senator
fucking
Loeffler, you have called
indecent,
yourself the most conservative
subhuman, vile scum.
richest U.S.
It's
senator.
Mitch McConnell who's holding up aid, you fucking
$1
psycho!
Will you use your wealth and your privilege to improve the life of the average Georgian, the one who makes minimum wage, and more specifically, minorities who feel you have not made an attempt to meet them where they are?
Well, first of all, I have been blessed to live the American dream, and that's what I'm fighting for every single day in Washington, because I was born and raised on a farm. I grew up working in the fields. I started filling out a time card when I was 11. I waitressed my way through high school and college, and I was the first in my family to graduate from college. I know what it means to live paycheck to paycheck. I've done it. And I also know I'm blessed to live the American dream, and that's why I'm fighting to protect it. That's why conservative values matter, to uphold the Constitution. Our freedoms are under attack in this country. The religious freedom, the right to life, the Second Amendment. And that's what helps create opportunity for all Georgians to live freely. But my opponent, radical liberal Raphael Warnock, is a socialist. He supports policies that would grow our government, bankrupt hardworking families with high taxes. The cost of the Green New Deal on every Georgian family would be $75,000, and taxes would go up $2,000 per family. That's why I'm focused on helping every single Georgian succeed.
Have you reached out to minority communities to hear their issues and what they're thinking and what they're feeling?
Absolutely. I have built my career based on bringing folks together to lift everyone up. That's what I've done from day one. In fact, I just introduced my prosperity plan that would bring much needed capital, access to capital to small businesses and minority communities, because our country has failed in that area. That's one way we can help. We can also make sure that we protect school choice. The Democrats would overturn school choice, trapping children, their destiny for education within their zip code. I'm fighting to make sure that we fund school choice and support kids to live their dream, to have that education. But I'm also making sure we keep taxes low. The taxes, the Jobs Act that Raphael Warnock would overturn would raise taxes on single moms making $39,000 with 2 kids. Their taxes would go up 20%. That's not a way to help hardworking families here in Georgia succeed.
Greg Bluestein, your turn to ask a question.
Yeah, and this next question is for both candidates. We'll start with Reverend. Do you plan to accept a coronavirus vaccine when public health experts declare it to be safe? And if so, how do you plan to persuade the public to take it?
Absolutely. When our health professionals tell us that we have a vaccine that works and is effective and safe, I will take it. I will encourage the folks who listen to me, people who are in my church and in the community, to take it. But also I will try to work hard as a senator.
Someone get a fucking radical liberal counter on this psycho, dude.
Find themselves at the back of the line again.
Dude, it's getting increasingly more difficult not to say like really bad words that are going to get me in trouble.
And I've spent my life.
The more I hear her talk, the more I'm like losing my fucking mind.
People. Kelly Loeffler is trying to misrepresent me because she knows that she has spent the first 10 months, all 10 months of her tenure, thinking about herself. She's the unelected senator of Georgia. She was appointed. The people of Georgia have been disappointed. And they're looking for somebody who will stand up for ordinary people. I've spent my life doing that as a citizen, and I'll do it as a U.S. senator.
You have 30 seconds to respond to that before Greg asks his question of you.
You know, I have spent every single day working for Georgians. I'm 100% about Georgia. That was my calling to public service. I was blessed to live the American dream.
No way. America is too sexist to vote for this lady. There is no fucking way.
Only person in this race.
I would go so far as to say they're more sexist than they're racist, dude. There's no fucking way. She is. There's no way. There's no fucking way. I'm losing it.
Seeking that opportunity, he would take away school choice for kids who want to have that leg up. And he would play politics just as Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer have done, holding up relief for political reasons. And I think that's completely wrong.
Bro, if the Democrats don't fucking run ads showing how much of a goddamn brobot she is, like, they're losing out.
Intend to persuade the public to take it.
Even though Warnock's campaign has been largely positive, it's actually really interesting from that point of view. We'll take a look at it in a second.
I'd be more proud of what we've done this year to deliver relief, but also get cures, vaccines and therapies that are effective. And so I'm going to encourage my fellow Georgians to stay safe, to get that vaccine. And we have a great plan to prioritize those communities who need it most, and we will make sure that that's carried out. But my opponent will continue to play politics with the pandemic, telling lies and trying to achieve political objectives that would try to radically change our country at a moment of a pandemic. I'm going to continue to fight for every single Georgian to have the freedoms and the opportunities that they deserve and not be crushed by big government that would have government-mandated health care, that would provide free health care for illegal immigrants, that would raise their taxes to pay for government health care and that would bankrupt Medicare. I'm making sure that Georgians have the resources they need while we keep our taxes and our government low and small.
Lisa, it's your turn to ask a question.
Dr. Warnock, Katina Stravalakis is an Atlanta business owner who had to close her doors because she was unable to pay thousands in back rent due to the pandemic. President-elect Joe Biden considers it a top priority to get a generous stimulus package through Congress, and you have said you support that. But if you were to speak to Katina, what would you ensure her that you would do in Washington to help her and other business owners get the help that they need?
Well, my dad was a small business owner, and so I understand the struggle that small business owners have. And I spent time in my church creating a financial literacy center that helps people to get started. And so I think a good sign of what someone will do in office is what they were doing before they ever went into office. And I've spent my whole career standing up for ordinary people, trying to, in fact, we had a job center in my church, contrary to what Senator Loeffler is trying to suggest. And I have stood up for ordinary workers time and time again. You know, during this pandemic, we call people essential workers. We ought to pay them an essential wage. And we ought to provide small business owners like her the assistance and the support that they need. Kelly Loeffler's out of touch. She's thinking about people who are like her. And I'm okay with the fact that she wants to make money. I just think you shouldn't use the people's seat to enrich yourself. You ought to use the people's seat to represent the people.
I'd like to respond.
Please do.
Look, these are more lies from radical liberal Raphael Warnock, someone that has invited Fidel Castro, a murderous dictator, into his own church, someone that has celebrated anti-American, anti-Semite Jeremiah Wright. You know, he has also said that police officers are gangsters and thugs and refused to apologize for it. He said that you can't serve God and the military. He has actually made sure that we know who he is in his own words. Those aren't my words. I'm working hard to serve Georgians. I've served thousands of Georgians, and I'm so proud to represent this state and help Georgians through this challenging time.
Well, Reverend, as I understand it, you were a young man in that church in New York. Would you like to respond to the suggestion that you invited him?
There's a lot at stake right now in the middle of this pandemic, and it's too bad that she's engaged in the politics of distraction and division. I never met him. I never invited him. He has nothing to do with me. If you want to know who informs me and my sense of how we engage as people in the economic system, you need look no further than Matthew 25. I'm a Matthew 25 Christian. That's what I am. I was hungry and you fed me. I was thirsty and you gave me something to drink. I was sick and you visited me. Love your neighbor. And for me, that means you don't get rid of your neighbor's health care, particularly in the middle of a pandemic.
Greg,
May I respond?
go ahead.
Look, I'm not going to be lectured by someone that uses the Bible to justify abortion, to attack our men and women in the military. You know, what's happening.
No, you're married to a Fortune 500, the CEO of the fucking, right now, the CEO of the New York Stock Exchange, right? Like, and a fucking millionaire. But yeah, you know more about the Bible than a fucking reverend, dude. Oh, these people are so disgusting. Reverend from MLK's church, too. Get the fuck out of here, dude.
An apartheid state.
Yo, I hate
that is
this
wrong
shit.
for America.
He
and
called
I'm
Israel an
continue to make
apartheid
sure
state, by the
Georgians
way.
understand that that is him in his
These
own
fucking
words.
boys!
Reverend, please respond to the abortion issue in particular.
Well, listen, I have a profound reverence for life and an abiding respect for choice. The question is, whose decision is it? And I happen to think that a patient's room is too small a place for a woman, her doctor, and the U.S. government. I think that's too many people in the room. But those who are concerned about life, and I certainly am, ought to be focused on the incredibly high rates of infant mortality and maternal mortality in our country when compared to other developed nations. That's something the government could work on, and I've been working on it my entire career.
Greg Bluestein.
Senator, President Trump has attacked your closest political ally, Governor Kemp, as hapless. He said he was ashamed to support him. He even invited one of your former rivals to run against him in 2022. Was the president wrong to say that about the governor? And are you concerned his comments could alienate some Republicans in Georgia ahead of the runoffs?
Well, the president has the right to pursue every legal recourse to make sure that this was a free and fair election in Georgia. And we know that these audits have turned up thousands of votes that were initially uncounted. And I've called for a signature audit. And the buck stops with the Secretary of State. He has to run an election that Georgians trust because everything's at stake on January 5th, the future of the country. We can take the path of supporting the American dream, of standing the economy back up and getting through this virus together, or we can take the path of socialism that radical liberal Raphael Warnock wants to bring to our country, increasing our taxes, taking away the private insurance that you get at your jobs and replacing it with government-run health care, turning your doctor's office into the DMV. He would open our borders, grant amnesty, give free health care to illegal immigrants. None of that will help us solve this pandemic and get the economy back on its feet and get kids back in school. And I'm not going to stand by and be lectured by someone that has not done anything for Americans during this pandemic.
Like radical liberal
Was the president
Raphael
wrong when he
Warnock.
called those governors those remarks?
Look, I appreciate the president's support of me, and I appreciate the governor's support of me. They both understand what's at stake in this election. That's why they're encouraging Georgians to get out and vote for David Perdue and myself, because we're fighting for Georgians every single day. We're using our private sector experience to make sure that Georgians get back to work and school and church, while the Democrats play politics, hold up relief, and try to keep our country locked down. That's just wrong.
Lisa?
Senator Loeffler, expounding on that last question, again, President Trump criticized your governor, Governor Brian Kemp. Governor Kemp appointed you to the Senate. You've criticized the election process as well. So tonight, can you tell us where your loyalty lies as you vie to represent the state of Georgia? Is it with Governor Kemp or President Trump?
Lisa, my loyalties are with Georgia. I had a calling to public service to serve the people of Georgia. Look, I have lived the American dream. I want to make sure every Georgian can do that. From working on a farm, from waitressing, being the first in my family to graduate from college, I know that free enterprise is the way to lift everyone up, not socialism, not
And
high
bro, I
taxes.
see how people get fucking racist towards white people. Like I've never felt the feelings I'm feeling right now. Like
I'm making sure that
her
Georgians
voice,
know
her
what's
words,
at stake
like
on January
her
5th.
attitude,
Our way of life
especially
right
when
here in
compared,
Georgia will radically
especially when
change.
compounded on
As
top of
promised by
like,
Chuck Schumer, now we take Georgia,
especially when compounded
and
on
we
top of her
change
like
America.
background is like such a
That's my number
fucking
one focus,
psychotic
making
rich
sure that
little
Georgians
vampire.
know what's at
Oh my
stake.
gosh, she's like
I've served
it's like a
Georgians every
condescending
single day.
robot,
It's
a condescension robot. They just keep saying the same talking points over and over again. I get it now. That's crazy. I've never felt this way before,
What's at
dude.
stake is the Senate majority. This will determine who brings bills to the Senate floor. And under the Republican Senate, we've been able to deliver $3 trillion of relief to hardworking Americans hard hit by this pandemic, to the frontline workers, to hospitals, to schools. We have to
I think I'm racist against the rich, dude.
They want to radically change our country, and their agent of change is radical liberal Raphael Warnock, someone that has said to reimagine police, that is endorsed by organizations whose number one goal is to defund the police. We know the direction the country would take, and we're going to continue to make sure that Georgians understand that our very way of life here in Georgia and across the country is under attack by the left.
Well, not to belabor the point, but all those things that you're warning about would not be happening, presumably, with President Trump as president. So it almost sounds as though you're conceding that that part of it has been settled, and now it's important for the Republicans to keep the majority in the Senate to have a divided government.
Well, I saw firsthand that the Senate is the shock absorber in this country. And I saw that firsthand when I got to Washington and the impeachment trial started. I saw the Russia hoax and how that distracted us from addressing this virus. The Democrats have played nothing but politics since day one. They've never accepted that President Trump was president. They were distracted from serving Americans. They were distracted during the pandemic, and now they've used the pandemic to try to fundamentally change this country and put the cost of big government on the back of hardworking Georgians. That's why I'm fighting to make sure that the Republican majority is retained in the Senate, because we are the shock absorber for common sense policies that bring Americans together, that lift everyone up, that provides for great educational choices for kids, that stops the radical agenda of the abortion on demand that Democrats want, that attacks our Second Amendment rights. They want to take away our guns. They want to tax guns, and they want to fundamentally change America. And radical liberal Raphael Warnock is their agent of change.
Greg Bluestein, time for your question.
Yeah, Reverend Warnock, if Democrats do win control of the U.S. Senate, there'll be pressure to increase the size of the U.S. Supreme Court.
Someone needs to make a supercut right now of just her saying that over and over again.
Trump's recent appointments, and do you think there needs to be term limits for justices on the bench?
I want to point out that Kelly Loeffler actually voted to defund the police. She voted against the COPS program. She was one of only 10 United States senators who did. I don't think we should defund the police, but we certainly do need criminal justice reform. We need to make sure that we have an independent review process when civilians die at the hands of police. We need to make sure that police and officers and departments that have a pattern of misconduct are held accountable. We can do that and celebrate police at the same time. And as I move all across the state, Greg, people aren't asking me about the courts and whether we should expand the courts. I know that's an interesting question for people inside the Beltway to discuss, but they're wondering when in the world are they going to get some COVID-19 relief? They haven't gotten any from Kelly Loeffler in months. And when she had a chance to stand up for ordinary people, she thought $600 was too much. Meanwhile, she was busy dumping millions of dollars of stock, profiting from a pandemic. Who does that?
But
like
it will
respond,
impact
please.
people
Say
on the
it's not
ground.
Christian-like.
So I am wondering.
Use your background as a reverend. You have authority with God.
I'm really not focused on it.
Say she's not a good
and I
Christian,
think
and
that
everybody
too
knows it.
often, the politics in Washington has been about the politicians. I'm a pastor, and so when I think about these issues, I think about the people that I've had to stand with.
Bro, you're in Georgia.
Units.
You're in Georgia. Just say you spoke to God. It's gonna be a fucking sweep, dude.
They're concerned about
If he was like, I'm a reverend, I got direct access to the big man upstairs, and he told me not to vote for Kelly Loeffler.
With pre-existing conditions, that means people with hypertension, people with diabetes, folks who've had a stroke, cancer, people who are recovering from COVID would not be able to get health care. I think that's morally wrong. And it's my faith that actually informs that. She can't explain why she wants to take away people's health care. She knows that that junk health care plan that she rolled out has a loophole in it big enough to drive a Mack truck through.
Bro,
She can't explain that, and so she's trying to misrepresent my record.
bro, I swear to God, like,
they understand.
this is a lizard, dude.
Senator,
This is
30
a
seconds,
lizard.
please.
Like, this is not a human.
Look, you've just
This is a
heard
lizard.
radical liberal Raphael Warnock
say it again.
lie about my
Oh,
record.
fuck.
I've never voted to defund the police. In fact, I've voted to support more funding that the Democrats, of course, blocked. But he also is distracting from the fact that he would pack the Supreme Court. That's outrageous. Justice Ginsburg herself said 9 justices is the right number. He would pack the court with radical justices that would legislate from the bench to fundamentally override the Constitution and our laws in this country. And Georgians need to know that is wrong for Georgia and our country.
Would you like 30 seconds to respond?
Well, I believe in the Constitution. This is the greatest system on the planet. And our country is the only country where my story is even possible. I believe in our norms. I believe in the separation of powers. And I believe in the nonviolent, unchaotic transition of power. Kelly Loeffler ought to stand with the people of Georgia. The 4 greatest words ever spoken in a democracy are the people have spoken. The people have spoken on the presidential election, and they're waiting on their senator to be focused on them, not the person in the White House.
Lisa Ram.
Senator Loeffler, given all the police violence we've seen against African Americans, consider this. Courtney Owens of Atlanta is worried about her son, her father, and her husband, all African Americans. She fears for their lives daily. You've called the Black Lives Matter movement fascist. You've alienated members of your own basketball team by talking about that stance, or taking that stance,
she is
rather.
fucking...
Is that still your view tonight after seeing and hearing how it hits home with so many people personally?
How many times do you think Kelly Loeffler is going to say the N-word
Would you sit down
in the locker room after this debate?
Well, the life
With
of
the hard
every
R and everything, you know what I'm
African-American
saying?
is important, and there is no place for racism in this country.
You know.
But there are organizations whose number one goal is to defund the police.
As many times
And
as
we know
radical
that
liberal
hurts
Raphael Warnock.
minority
That's what she's going to be
communities
saying.
more than anyone, and we have to stand with our men and women of law enforcement, and I will always do that. You know, that's a distraction from the fact that my opponent does not stand with police officers. He's endorsed by organizations whose number one goal is to defund the police. He's called police officers gangsters, thugs, bullies, a threat to our children. He's called for our prisons to be opened up and emptied out. He's called for the abolishment of the cash bail system. Look, he doesn't care about safety and security in any community, and I'm fighting to make sure that we have the resources to keep our communities safe and our police departments well-funded and well-trained.
Senator, thank you. Would you like to respond to,
Sure, if
particularly
I
about
may.
opening up the jails?
Well, listen, first of all, the land of the free is the mass incarceration capital of the world. We warehouse 25% of the world's prisoners. And people on both sides of the aisle know that our current criminal justice system needs reform. And we saw that this summer, a multiracial coalition of conscience pouring out into American streets after the tragic deaths of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and Ahmaud Arbery and so many others. And what did Kelly Loeffler do? She used her enormous privilege and power as a United States Senator to pick a fight with the black women on her team who know what it's like to grow up in a community where you have to have 2 talks with your children, one about the birds and the bees and the other about what happens if you're pulled over by police officers. To acknowledge that is not to
He's too good,
condemn
dude. I
police
hate it.
officers in general.
I hate it. He's
I've worked
too
with
good.
police across the years. I've been
Gonna make
invited
a
to
defeat
speak at their
all
memorial
that worse.
services when they have when they've lost their lives in the line of duty. And she says she is against racism and that racism has no place, but she welcomed the support of a QAnon conspiracy theorist, and she sat down with a white supremacist for an interview. I don't think she can explain that.
May I
Let
respond?
me give you a chance to respond to that, and then we'll have one last question before we get to closing statements, please.
Well, that's incredibly sad, these comments that he's made. I mean, first of all, there's not a racist bone in my body. I have worked to bring communities together my entire life. But this is really terrible coming from someone who has divided people continually. He's called on Americans to repent for their worship of whiteness. He's called Israel an apartheid state and said that we should end military assistance. He's compared Israelis defending themselves against Palestinians. He's compared them to birds of prey. And he's celebrated Jeremiah Wright, an anti-American, anti-Semite.
By the way, motherfuckers still think he's bad on Israel, by the way, in my community. Remember, by the way, I got fucking people, by the way, who still, by the way, think he's bad on Israel, by the way.
Look, what's at stake here in this election is the American dream. That's what's under attack. When they attack me for a lie, a left-wing media lie, conspired with the Democrats by, this is an attack on every single Georgian who gets up every day to work hard to provide a better life for their family, who wants to live the American dream. It's a distraction from the real issues, not the conspiracies in this election. What's at stake is the future of our country, our freedoms to live
You know she wants to pull off like a Emmett Till 2.0.
Bankruptcy, to not have to go on
100%.
government,
Everything she's doing,
healthcare, government-run
everything
healthcare. They
she's
wanna take
doing is
away
like literally
healthcare
teetering along
that
the lines of like,
180
look,
million
I'm a
Americans
white
rely
lady,
on through their work.
and
That's why I've
Raphael
introduced
Warnock
a
wants to
healthcare
fucking
plan to make it
open
more
up the
affordable,
prisons.
not government-run healthcare
Open
that
up
would
the
bankrupt
prisons.
those that rely
You think
on
it's a
Medicare.
fucking
And
accident
I'm gonna
that all of
continue to
these
fight to
fucking
keep our
all of
country
these
free,
sentiments are
to keep
based
our
around the
borders
lines of
secure, and make
Raphael
sure that
Warnock hates the
communities are
cops,
safe
wants to
and
open up the
secure.
prisons. Like,
Reverend, you have an
if
opportunity
you've
to
looked at
respond.
any of her fucking attack ads, you would recognize it in a goddamn heartbeat. You don't say oof azan to me when you don't know what the fuck is going on here. Every single fucking line from her end, from her campaign, has been about how black Raphael Warnock is and how the black pastor Raphael Warnock absolutely without a doubt wants to fucking open up the prisons and make your communities unsafe. That's precisely what this campaign is tailored around.
And she should have listened to the lesson. Maybe she wouldn't be so focused on herself. She'd be thinking about the people she's supposed to represent. I intend to center the concerns of the ordinary people that I've been running into all across this state, particularly in rural Georgia.
Reverend, thank you.
I'd like to respond.
Well, we're out of time. I apologize, but you're going to have a chance for a closing statement here in a moment. That is all the time we have for questions. The candidates now have 60 seconds for a closing statement. Senator Leffler, you get to go first.
Well, thank you to everyone who tuned in to this important debate. You can see what's at stake. There are two visions for our country. Mine, the American dream. My opponent, socialism. This is what's on the ballot January 5th, the American dream. I was born and raised on a farm. I grew up working in the fields. I built my career. I became a job creator right here in Georgia, and I have been blessed to live the American dream. But Chuck Schumer said it best, now we take Georgia, then we change America. They would increase our taxes, open our borders, socialize our health care. And my opponent, radical liberal Raphael Warnock, is his agent of change, someone that has falsely used the Bible to attack our military. The Bible never said that that you can't serve God and in the military. He's attacked our police officers. He wants to fundamentally change America into a socialist country. Well, I'm not going to let that happen. I'm working hard for every single Georgian. I'm Kelly Leffler. I'm asking for your vote on January 5th. Thank you, and may God bless America.
Thank you, Senator. Reverend Warnock, your closing statement.
Thank you so much, and thanks to everybody who tuned in tonight. I'm Raphael Warnock. I'm one of 12 children in my family, and I'm number 11, the first college graduate. Listen, these are dark and difficult times. And amidst the thick fog of this pandemic and the economic turndown, even during this season of joy, it's hard for people to find joy. I think about my dad in a moment like this. God bless his memory. He used to wake me up every morning at dawn and said, get ready, get dressed, put shoes on. It was dawn. And so it was morning, but it was still dark. It's dark right now, but morning is on the way. It's our job, Georgia, to put our shoes on and get ready, because there are those who are engaged in the politics of division. They have no vision, and so they engage in division. Tomorrow is the last day to register. Tell everybody you know to make a vote plan, because health care is on the ballot, workers are on the ballot, voting rights is on the ballot, criminal justice reform is on the ballot, and if you give me the honor of representing you in the U.S. Senate,
We have to
I'll
go,
be thinking
sir.
about Georgia every single day.
Thank you very
so
much, Reverend and Senator. Before we conclude this debate, everyone involved in tonight's production sends their condolences to the Leffler campaign and to the family of staff member Harrison Deal, who was killed in a car accident on Friday. Our thoughts are with the family. They're with you. We're very, very sorry. We'd like to remind voters that Election Day is Tuesday, January 5th. Absentee voting has already begun in Georgia, and early voting in Georgia begins December 14th. Thanks to the candidates and to the panel for participating in this debate. Well done. Thanks to the Atlanta Press Club and Georgia Public Broadcasting.
I'm losing my mind, dude. That was fucking brain cancer, dude. That was so bad. Yo, to the people who are saying pond. All right, first of all, first things first, I hope you got a better understanding of what Raphael Warnock represents. Some of the things he said and some of the things he would not say. Important to see all of that, okay, as a whole. And you know, really sit on it, manifest, try to understand where he's coming from. Now, The problem here in the state of Georgia is that at least according to people that understand these races, in order to win in the state of Georgia, you got to win at least, as a Democrat, you got to win at least 30% of the white vote. Okay? That's what it is. And this state, which is historically had, or at least in its inception, had a very interesting pathway for prison abolition and for a free state, a state where you could not have slaves, has, of course, turned around and has become something entirely different throughout time. Now, having said that, there are a lot of black people in the state of Georgia, and there are a lot of religious people in the state of Georgia. People that have absolutely changed their party affiliation throughout time and have turned this into a solidly Republican state. Now, that might change. That's why people like Stacey Abrams are profoundly important with all that they've done in voter outreach, in all the initiatives they've done, trying to get as many people to register to vote as possible. Ultimately, this is unfortunately, it's not, as is the case with any other race, this is not a race about who's better, because it's very clear who's better. I mean, if we were to look at this on its merits, why the fuck wouldn't this be a clear defining victory for someone as well versed in the matters he speaks of, that his personal hands have touched the issues that he speaks of in an effort to solve some of these problems like poverty. You got someone like Raphael Warnock, who is very obviously and very clearly knowledgeable on the issues and has a personal experience on the issues he speaks of, right? So but that's not what this race is about. This race is, in some ways, a good test on the theory that maybe just churning out talking points and like a lifeless husk, as long as they are the right talking points that Republicans want to hear that correspond to their own personal biases, could get you to win an election, even if you are the most horrifically unlikable person on the planet. Now, Perdue never wanted to show up. At least Perdue did not think like he needed to show up to this fucking debate. And he's right. These motherfuckers can win in the state of Georgia without showing up to a single debate. They got millions and millions of dollars and they're pumping ads about how John Ossoff is a radical Marxist, about how Raphael Warnock is a radical liberal Raphael Warnock who hates cops and hates the military. Kelly Loeffler did not need to show up to this debate. And she still did. Did a lot of people watch this debate? I don't think so. I don't think a lot of people are going to watch this debate. Debates are notoriously, at least for the presidential election, debates are notoriously not significant. I don't know. I have to hope two Dems can win. It makes me happy to think that the state that once waved the Confederate flag on its capital when MLK sermonized and was at the seat of the Deep South is now the newest blue state in the Union. It's truly a testament to how much voter bases can change, or at least the voter base in Atlanta. All I'm gonna say is don't get too attached to this notion that like a good person who's honestly kind, who actually very clearly deserves the win, this race is gonna ever win. Okay, don't think that. The world is fucking dark. It's a horrible place. Okay, I'm sorry. Bad things that could likely happen often does end up happening.
Republican David Perdue has served in the U.S. Senate since 2015. Before his election, he sat on the board of 5 major corporations and co-founded Perdue Partners, a global trading company. Senator Perdue declined to participate in this debate and is represented by an empty podium. Republican David Perdue has
thoughts on John Ossoff overall. And John Ossoff is just a Democrat. He is built in a laboratory. Built in the DSCC laboratory, basically, or the DCCC lab originally. Okay. Created to appeal to what Democrats or the National Democratic Party thinks works in southern states. But it doesn't matter. He's still infinitely better than a Republican occupying that seat. It's just the truth. He's very good at debates. I mean, he absolutely destroyed Purdue so hard that Purdue literally won't show up to debates anymore. But also, you have to remember, he destroyed Purdue, and in the same state where Donald Trump fucking lost to Joe Biden, these guys still had the plurality. I admire how much Kelly Loeffler deeply sucks. I'm not watching the debate because that's for psychos, but she wasn't elected. Not even MAGA people find her epic for triggering people, and she has the charisma of a crematorium owner. You rock, lady. Keep sucking it up. Yeah, she's really fucking bad. Like, she is uniquely bad. Like, it is. We are freaks for watching this debate, for sure. So Felix is right on that point as well. But she is really, like, she's like once in a lifetime bad, dude. With her attitude. Like, she has none of the qualifications that, not qualifications, she has none of the properties that would make her a viable candidate for the Republican Party, which is precisely why the Republican Party did not want her to occupy this position that she was appointed to. Remember, she didn't win a position, she was appointed to it. Kind of similar to Martha McSally, if we're being honest. Martha McSally, famously in Arizona, lost her race and then was appointed to the position after John McCain passed away. And she got fucking cumstered and dumpstered by Mark Kelly. She lost twice and was appointed. Kelly Loeffler is nearly identical to Martha McSally in that same point. Now, the difference is Mark Kelly is white. Mark Kelly can toe the line of like neoliberalism a little bit better than someone who has a well-documented history of saying things that could be terrifying to the whites. Okay? Because that's the reality. Because, you know, as much as we love MLK now and talk about MLK, people didn't fucking like MLK in Georgia when he was alive. They thought he was fucking terrifying. They thought he was a communist agitator. Just like they feel probably the same way about someone who is following the Christian doctrine closer than any number of evangelical pastors ever could. Reverend Raphael Warnock is the reason why, and people like him, and Reverend Jeremiah Wright are the reason why I always say r/atheists are fucking delusional for not recognizing the fact that there are brilliant, honest, thoughtful, progressive pastors out there. Liberation theology, black liberation theology is at the heart of what we're talking about. Reverend Raphael Warnock is one of those people. He's very good. So he has a lot of well-documented takes that you can either A, misconstrue, or B, not even misconstrue. Even in context, it just comes across as aggressive. I was thinking about this before, and people are going to say this is a very Caucasian take, as it really is. But like black pastors, like radical black liberation theology reverends, often have heated gaming moments, very similar to the heated gaming moments that I have, where they get caught up in the heat of what they're talking about and say things that are immediately declared un-American, when in fact what they're saying is absolutely fucking true. Okay? And then they get played infinitely over and over again in a fucking time loop. Okay? Non-stop. So I mean, this is just, it doesn't matter. Should members of Congress be allowed to trade individual stocks? What's at stake in this election is the American dream. Not sure if I've ever heard a worse answer to a yes or no question. Look, man, this, what do you mean I'm trending? Why are you saying I'm trending? Wait, what the fuck? Hassan Gaming? Wait, am I trending? Wait, what the fuck? I am. Wait, why am I trending? Did a bunch of my tweets pop off today? Is that why? Dan Crenshaw is the son of an oilman. He went to Tufts and joined Navy ROTC to become an officer. He got masters from Harvard after touring. Of course, he's not going to understand his fellow vets who enlisted right out of high school, who needed stability and upward social mobility. Is it the poll too? More viewers on your stream than the debate live stream? Yeah. Radical liberal since this morning. I cannot imagine a scenario where Floyd Mayweather loses a fight to Logan Paul. Is completely unimaginable regardless of the size difference. Bro, Kelly Loeffler is like if you gave an AI talking points to read, just completely emotionless. How will Georgians vote for this sociopath? Americans think millionaire oil barons in Texas are more working class than Latina bartenders in New York, as they think black reverends from MLK's church are less Christian than Trump. At some point, we got to stop letting Republicans define these values and running along with their framing. Yeah, you guys should. Yo, I made your new hip hop tee merch. Seeing as no one like your other Machine Gun Kelly. What the fuck? Hog you. Anyway. New Barbie sucks. It only screams radical liberal socialism and defund the police. I don't know. Maybe I'm just trending on my end because it's just like showing me the. I mean, this hasn't been retweeted by anybody else. That's why I'm fucking winning. Like the moment that like Nick Merckx or the moment that fucking like XQC or Valkyrie or anyone else retweets, this is a wrap. Anyway, let's see. I hate that this is what they use. My head looks so tiny, dude.
Or they shoot it, it doesn't do anything.
It makes my head look so tiny. I got pinched 1 year, brother. Congrats, thanks. Anyway, did I run an ad at the top of this hour or did I not? I don't know. I have so many thoughts on this fucking debate. Ad time. Okay, I didn't run the ad. They found recent clips from everyone else but you. Yeah. I did not run the ad. Okay, I'm going to run an ad right now. At the top of the hour, every hour, there's a 60-second ad break, folks. And of course, I'm going to run the 60-second ad break right now. If you'd like to experience this stream with no ads, all you need to do is subscribe. You can do it for $5. Or if you don't have $5, which is understandable, you can subscribe for free by connecting your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch Prime. This way you get access to emotes. You can send me fucking links in the chat. And also have an ad-free broadcasting experience. This is a 6-second now. Anyway. She was wearing a wire. They fed her answers. Man, don't be one of those fucking weirdos, dude. Like, it's just stop. What is this, QAnon, dude? Are we QAnoning it up? Stop. Also, it doesn't matter. That's literally a wire. It doesn't matter, dude. It doesn't fucking matter. She didn't even need to do this interview. Or, I mean, she didn't even need to do this debate. Okay? She didn't need to do this debate. She only, I don't know why she did it, to be honest. She didn't have to fucking do this debate. She was still going to win. Like, everything is on their side. It's Georgia. It's fucking deep red. They already had the plurality of the votes. Like, show the Warnock ad. So, one thing I will say is the Warnock ads are overwhelmingly positive. The Warnock ads hyper focus on issues, whereas Kelly Loeffler's ads are hyper focusing on how bad Warnock is. It's all negative. It's all fucking negative nonstop, okay? It's all negative across the board nonstop. Warnock is also kind of jacked too. I know I've said hot pastors freak me out, but you know, I'll make an exception. But anyway, so what's interesting about this? This race is like, you got sexist Georgians who might not want to vote for Kelly Loeffler, and you got racist Georgians who definitely don't want to vote for Warnock. So you have this like two separate values that are of course at the heart of every American. Racism and sexism, very important stuff. And Kelly Loeffler is doing white racial grievance politics very well, and she's not doing anything well. She's never done anything well in her entire life, but her team is doing a decent enough job to fucking amplify that message. Like, you know, look at this black guy. Hey, he's black, by the way. You know, wants to open up the prisons. Not good for Georgia. That sort of shit, right? Meanwhile, like, she's a horrible candidate, fucking devoid of any sort of personality whatsoever. Very clearly bought her fucking appointment and is just awful, like god awful. She got caught up in a fucking insider trading scandal too. Like, he didn't used to be Jack, but then after the AOC stream, he started watching Hasanabi gaming streams. Yeah, he's just such a fucking scumfucker. Like, I don't know how else to describe it. When did you first start hating women? I don't know, probably when I was born, dude. Dude, I really fucking hate her. I hate her so much. I fucking hate Kelly Loeffler so much. Oh, did I misgender? I do that all the time. Turkish is fucking gender neutral, okay? Yeah, I misgender nonstop. What do you think of Loeffler's refusal to say it was rigged and accidentally admitting Biden won? It doesn't matter. None of that matters. No one watches these debates. No one's going to give a shit.
People like me aren't supposed to run for office. I grew up in the housing projects of Savannah. My mom is from...
The problem is, like, I mean, Warnock he is black. You know what I mean? And for Georgia, that's like going to be kind of an issue for the white population. So I don't know, like... Fuck. I don't know. He deserves the seat more than anyone else. It's going to be great for black turnout, though. We'll see. We'll see if that's enough. It's not a problem. Are you fucking kidding me? In fucking Georgia? It absolutely is, dude. These people are fucking psychos, man. Okay? We're not fucking... Yeah, by the way, that's the other thing is like... people are like, oh, is that a problem in Georgia? To date, in the United States Senate, 10 African Americans have served in the U.S. Senate. In 1870, it was Hiram Revels of Mississippi became the first African American senator. Blanche K. Bruce. In 1841, Edward Brooke, Carol Moseley Braun, Barack Obama, Roland W. Burris, Tim Scott, William Mo Cowan, Cory Booker, Kamala Harris. Kelly Loeffler has been. Chad, it's not that Georgia is blatantly racist, but subconsciously the majority of whites here are. Just like Loeffler being a woman brings a disadvantage. Exactly. Exactly. Isn't that better than zero? Man, we're talking about a black senator being elected very clearly throughout the fucking history of the United States Senate. When it's happened so fucking rarely, then obviously it's a fucking problem. That was the point I was trying to make.